Okay. Good morning, class.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Welcome to our English class for today. We're going to be handling English as a foreign language, which is commonly known as EFL. Okay. So I'm going to be the teacher for today, and I'm going to start with a self-introduction, after which I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself as well. Okay. So this is my name. My name is MPAKO. I am an applied linguist and a certified educationist. I am from Cameroon, a Cameroonian by nationality. Okay. Having said that, I'd like to know your names as well.
Ronald Mbeki, student from Kenya.
Okay?
Rashid Mulika, an IB student from Kenya.
Okay. Thank you and welcome to our class. I hope it's going to be interesting.
I hope so.
Okay, good. So, language or English as a foreign language, we're going to handle a couple of skills. First, I want to start by asking you, how many language skills do we have?
Speaking,
Beautiful, that's one.
maybe writing as well.
Great! Quite an intelligent student. What about you, Rashid?
Perhaps listening?
Oh, wonderful, amazing. That's great.
And writing as well.
And writing.
Oh, we have to do all these things, not to use language.
Oh, of course, that's wonderful. Okay, so having said that, we have a couple, that's 4 language skills which we've mentioned. But for our class of today, we're not going to handle all of these 4 language skills. We're going to focus on one. And the one we're going to focus on is speaking. Speaking. Language is primarily speech. More than 90% of language is speaking. So speaking is very, very important. So out of all the other language skills, the first every child learns is speech. This is what we're going to be treating today. And we're going to look at different sections of speaking. We're going to handle 3 subtopics under the main topic of speaking. Let me give you a clue of what we're going to have. These are the different subtopics we're going to handle. Speaking, we're going to divide it into 2 main categories: independent task and integrated task. Later on, we're going to understand what each of these mean. Independent task, we have 2 tasks actually. But for this class, we're going to check just one choice. For integrated task, there are 4 under speaking, which we normally concentrate on when we're doing TOEFL. But for this class, we're going to handle just 2 of such. An academic course where we have to talk about problems and solutions, and also what we call the campus situation. Here we're going to specialize on general issues or specific subject areas. Now, like I said, speaking is very important because it is the prime of language. More than 90% of it is speech. So it's very important. Now, how are you going to be assessed during a speaking test? These are the criteria we're going to use. We have 3 main criteria which we're going to use in assessing your speech. These are: first, delivery. For delivery, we're going to look at how clear and fluid your speech is, including good pronunciation, natural pacing, and natural speaking intonation. Language must be intoned in a particular way. So, when you speak, you have to take care of all of this. The second scoring criterion would be language use. Under language use, we're going to see how effectively you are able to use good and correct grammar, as well as vocabulary to convey your message. And the last criterion we're going to use to assess would be topic development. How fully have you, as the test taker, answered the question you are asked? And how coherent have you presented your ideas so that it is clear to everyone? So far, so good. After this, we can now start our lesson now that you know how important it is, the different subtopics we're going to handle, as well as the assessment criteria. I'm going to start by telling you a very short story. This story happened when I was in secondary school. In Form 5, which is grade 10 in so many areas, I used to be a very poor economics student. And unfortunately for me, I had an economics teacher who was kind of a sadist. He loved to see students fail. And when a student didn't perform well in his exam, it was a happy moment for him. I had my friend Frank, who was as bad as me in economics. And his teacher always made sure that his marks were quite low and ensured he felt bad at every result he got. The teacher's name was Jacob. Happily, we graduated from school and went to university. Frank got a scholarship to study in the USA and later on became a human resource manager. After some time, Mr. Jacob, our economics teacher, also traveled to the USA after winning an American lottery. He applied for a job and found himself having to do an interview with somebody he had maltreated at school. Immediately got into the conference hall. Who did he find at the end of the table? He found my friend Frank at the end of the table. You can imagine how he felt. Come on, let me hear from you. If you were Mr. Jacob and you walked into the interview hall, how would you have felt seeing somebody you maltreated? Let's start with you, Roland.
First of all, I'll feel trepidation because I'm scared. Okay, this is something I really wanted in my life, and he's someone I mistreated. So it's like I've lost it all.
Ah, beautiful. That's someone who's rational. Yes. What about you, Rashid?
I would feel that first very happy that there's somebody who knows me and I know them. And this first will relax me to do my interview very well. Secondly, I would think it's a product of my effort, because having frustrated and getting skills and the urge to work beyond what I was pinning him to be, and that's how he is now successful as one of my interviews.
Okay. I hope we had so many students like you who love to be teachers and part of their output. Okay, that is beautiful. So, I like your opinions about how you would feel if you were Mr. Jacob. Now, let us start our subtopics. We're going to start with the first one. Like I explained earlier, independent task. And I said we're going to handle just one independent task, that of choice. I start by asking, independent task. What do you think this would mean? The most important word here is independent.
We're going to be asked to do something on our own.
Beautiful, independent, something on your own. I like that. What about you, Rashid?
Something standalone, not involving something else.
Okay, something standalone, something on your own, independent. And then what about this? Choice.
It'll be an option.
It would be an option. And then nobody is going to compare you to a particular task. Okay, beautiful. Now let us see how you can handle an independent task by making a choice. We have a task question which I'm going to give you. Okay, this is our question, our task question, on which you're going to speak. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to think on this question. Do you think exams are a true test of knowledge? You are two of you. Each person is going to select one side. okay, and you give your opinions. Make sure to give relevant facts to support your opinion. 15 seconds to think. Okay, time up. It seems there was some democracy between the two of you. Let us start with the person who thinks examinations are a true test of knowledge. I guess you're the one that actually.
Yes,
right?
I am the one.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay, I think exams do test knowledge because knowledge can't be concealed. It has to come out, and how much of that knowledge somebody has can only be gauged through exams. I do not see any other way we can say somebody knows unless we put them to test so that we can gauge the level of knowledge.
Beautiful. Thumbs up. You got a star to your card from me. Okay. Now let's move on to Ronald, who is against exams. I know those will be escaping from me.
Yes, I would agree with him as that exams are a true test of knowledge because of the circumstances in which exams are given, time-bound, under pressure, probably achievement is at stake, and usually the questions are set for specific aspects of a curriculum or specific aspects of knowledge. There are other connections, attitudes, right? The associated knowledge that is never tested in the examination. So a candidate will only write up to a certain limit of knowledge, but it will leave out other aspects of that knowledge that are inherent, that are associated, that are social, that are not tested in that examination. So making this fellow fail is not really a good test of his examination.
Oh my God.
Of his knowledge.
If all students were like this, I'm very, very sure teachers will be very, very happy. Oh, I like that. I like your arguments. Okay, now so from the way you've expressed yourself, despite the fact that you were given a question, it had two sides, you were given an option to choose which side to support. Okay? And again, you gave your speech based on an independent mindset. Did I oblige you on what ideas exactly you should speak on?
No.
I think so. So it makes you work independent. So far, is that understood? As far as independent tasks are concerned?
Yes, sir.
Sure?
Yes.
Come on, let's do a little more test to find out whether you fully understood that. Okay, now that you tell me you fully understood what that means, let's try to answer this question. Why do we describe these kinds of tasks as independent tasks? The ones we just did. If you can tell me, it means you fully understood.
Yeah, you allowed us to decide on what side of the question to give our response. So you didn't compel us to do anything. You allowed us to choose. It was independent.
Okay, what about you, Rashid?
I think.
Have you started?
I think this is independent because every one of us was free to speak their mind, irrespective of what the other was thinking. So I think it gave us a degree of, on our own, self-expression, independent, as it were, of the others.
Okay, that makes me quite happy. But at least you've understood the first task behind it. Now let us move to the second. Now we move away from independent to something a little bit different. We are going to call it integrated task. Again, let us start by looking at the most important word in this title. Integrated. Integration. What does integration mean? Do you understand by integration?
I think it's bringing together.
Bringing together.
Yeah.
Good. Putting something or things together. What about you?
More or less the same thing. Merging things into one.
Merging. Wow, synonyms. Bringing together, merging, putting things into one. And that is exactly what this means. We're going to handle two kinds of integrated tasks. And as far as English as a foreign language is concerned, an integrated task means that we are merging different language skills. In an independent task, we make use of just one language skill, just speaking. But here we're going to integrate more than one language skill. I'm not going to tell you the skills we're going to integrate here, but at the end, you should be able to tell me which language skills we integrated, okay? And I'm going to start by giving you a question. Our first topic here is problem and solution. Meaning that I'm going to play an audio for you to listen, find out the problem in the audio, and then the solution that is proposed in the audio. Let me show you the task question first before we play the audio. What are some of the allergies mentioned in the conversation, and how can some of these allergies be prevented? You haven't listened yet, so you may not know what to do. Okay, having listened to the audio, I'm going to give you 15 seconds again to think about this question and prepare your answer to this question. 15 minutes, starting right now. Okay, time up. So, what are some of the allergies mentioned in the conversation, and how can some of these allergies be prevented? Okay, let's start with Rashid. You seem to be very ready.
Okay, I think they mentioned hay fever as one of the allergies. Yeah, and allergies to food stuff. Yeah, and then mentioned that it's because children are not breastfed. Most children are not breastfed, so they don't get substances from the mother's milk, which can prevent some of these allergies. So when they grow up, yeah, they develop the allergies. And also the fact that children are not allowed to interact with germs. They are protected, so they don't develop body immunity against some of these allergic reactions, I think.
Okay, that's amazing. You mentioned almost everything that was discussed in the audio. That means you're a good listener. Now, Ronald, I'm going to subject you here, never mind, to giving us preventive measures on how these allergies could be prevented.
Well, I think it's mentioned already, but just to re-emphasize some of the preventive measures that will be taken. Mothers need to breastfeed their children to strengthen their immunity systems. We need to get away from this obsession with cleanliness and allow the children to interact with germs, bacteria particularly, so that the stomachs can be more resistant to allergies. So this will prevent the food allergies especially.
That's great. I'm really loving it today. Really loving it. Okay, you're good. Now from here, based on your speech, the short speech you've given, after listening to the audio, I can assume, but I'm still not going to assume, that you've understood the first task under integrated task. Task 1, where we discuss a problem and the solution. But before we move to the last subtopic which we're going to check, I'd like to throw a little question to you to find out your understanding of this particular subtopic. And this is what I have for you. Two questions. Why can this task not be described as an independent task? Now let me see how right you are.
Now, it certainly was not independent because you directed us exactly what to do. We didn't choose what to say.
Okay. Really?
Besides, you gave us information from which we were supposed to respond.
Okay. That's marvelous. That means the response you gave didn't come from your own mind. Is that what it means?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Now, actually, you have the second question. Okay. Can you read the question for us, please?
Which two language skills have been integrated in this task?
Which two language skills have been integrated? If you tell me, it means you know what integrated task means.
Okay, so I think we tested listening skills because we listened to the audio, and then speaking.
Oh, thank God. We tested listening and speaking two language skills. Right? Now we go to the third and the last subtopic we're going to check here, which is integrated task 2. Again, we're going to integrate language skills here. And this is normally called general or specific task, where you have to discuss about a general issue, general societal issue, or a specific task that is tied to a specific academic subject. Okay? And here, I'm going to give you two things. One, I'm going to play an audio for you to listen to information, and I'm going to give you a piece of writing, a piece of written word, which you're going to read. They're both on the same topic, and then you answer the question for me. Again, let me show you the question before I give you the audio so that you start thinking already what you have to say. Okay. Our next one person to read that first, please.
What are the viewpoints of both the speaker in the poem and in the lecture excerpt about the topic of smiling?
Good. So already you know the topic is?
Smiling.
Smile. Okay, let's listen. Okay, good. Having listened to the lecture excerpt, I'm going to give you the poems which you will rate. You should get that done in 30 seconds and we'll answer this question. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, time up. Okay, first, you find the topic of smiling interesting?
Yes, it's interesting.
Okay. Now, what are the viewpoints of the speaker in the poem and the speaker in the lecture excerpt as far as the topic of smiling is concerned?
The speaker in the audio places a smile, makes us value the importance of a smile by making us practically do it. And he says when you want to feel good, you need to turn your face into a smile and hold it for 30 seconds and you feel good about it. And when I did it, I actually broke into a laugh because I realized it's possible and it works.
Wow!
The speaker in the poem goes further and lists down how effective a smile can be in different circumstances. In happiness, in loneliness, in sickness. So we really get to understand the value of a smile much more beyond the audio into the poem. And at the end of it, I feel, why was I been doing this more frequently?
Okay. Now, Rashi, you can see me smiling already. Pretend to smile. Good.
Yes, you perfected the smile. Now, from the audio, like my friend said, I got the feeling that it brings in a happiness, it makes you feel happy, and it was done practically. While in the poem, I think more other things are brought up. For example, he says that it brings solace, it brings revival, and it's invigorating. So why not smile?
I believe I am the poet who wrote that poem, so you made me actually smile.
Yeah,
And
I didn't share, you know.
I was actually inspired by somebody who smiled at me on a very gloomy day. Then I felt the importance of a smile, and I decided to write that poem. Okay, beautiful. Now, we understand what it means by handling a general or a specific task where we have to listen to a lecture, read a short passage, and then give an answer, a response to a question based on a specific aspect of the topic we handled. Is it understood so far? Are you sure? Let's see whether that's well understood. First question goes to Honorable Rashid.
Thank you very much. I think we have encountered 3 language skills. Number 1 was listening, when we listened to the audio.
Okay.
Then we also read the poem written by you.
Oh.
And then, so that was reading, and then speaking now that we are doing it. Yeah, I think those are the skills.
Amazing. Again, what have we done? We have integrated different language skills in handling speaking.
I wish to add one more.
Okay.
Because when you gave us the task to think about the audio and the poem, it made me have to write down what I think. So the writing aspect also came in.
Okay, beautiful. Despite the fact that we're not doing writing, but you come to realize that no task or learning part of English can be left out while studying a particular skill. Okay, now let's look at the second question that is going to conclude to me that you have fully understood this task. Okay. Beautiful.
Right. Can I answer?
Yes. Please start by reading the question.
Alright. How do reading and listening help a foreign language learner develop his or her speaking skill? Reading develops the recognition of the alphabet and therefore understanding of the communication in that aspect of the language. Listening helps to cement the alphabet as seen into an audio response so that he's able to merge the two, integrate the two, and thereby have a comprehensive language skill.
Wow, that's more than I thought. Thank you. Yes, Rashid. Things I thought.
I agree with my friend that reading is visual, and then it compounds with what we get from the audio. I mean, we convert it and put it together with the audio, and then it brings some complete scale of speaking when we finally speak it out. In other words, we are combining what we are seeing plus what we are hearing, and then that helps us to perfect what we are saying, the skill.
Because the speaking will be a combination of the visual impression coming to mind, plus what you heard as the actual production of that reading, that written piece of work. Therefore, you produce it orally, and that cements your language.
Wow. Come on, clap for yourself. I think that was amazing. Now, one bonus question. Can speaking occur without listening happening at the same time?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because how do you say something you've never heard?
Great. What about you, Rashid?
Perhaps a madman speak things they don't understand or they do not hear, perhaps.
Then somebody would have to be listening, right?
Somebody, it would be heard by someone.
Okay.
But it looks on the whole that they have to go together.
Oh, okay, great.
Well, but I'd like to differ with them, because what madmen utter are not aspects of speech, they're just utterances. So it wouldn't be called speaking, it would be just jabbering or uttering things. Okay? Speaking is organized. Speaking is based on an alphabet, it's based on a language.
Okay, I like that particular aspect of it, that speaking is organized. Despite the fact that it may be gibberish, it's still speaking. But in the academic context, speaking is organized. Okay, good. Now, having said this, I would like to come to a conclusion of our class by doing a short summary of what we have learned today. We started with speaking as the prime language skill. And we said speaking is the most important part of any language, because what 90% of our language use time is spent speaking. And we divided our study into two basic sections. Independent task, where we had a choice, given a choice, the option to choose and express yourself based on your own opinions. And we had integrated task, in which we integrated different language skills in order to help us with attaining high proficiency in speaking. And we integrated listening skills, reading skills, and like Ronald said, some part of writing, because he had to jot down information. Okay, beautiful. That's what we had today. Before I go, you haven't asked me any questions yet, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to ask any question you may have as far as our lesson for today is concerned.
I don't think I have any question.
Sir, what is your advice about those of us who have problems with English as a foreign language regarding speaking? What do we need to do so that we perfect the skill of speaking?
I like that particular question because it definitely comes from somebody who is interested in improving his speaking skills. It is quite broad. There are so many things you can do. But the basic thing I'm going to tell you, the more you speak a language, the more you actually speak it. This is what I mean. Practice speaking and you'll improve your speech. You don't have to be afraid that people will laugh at you and making mistakes. No, make mistakes. They are important in language learning. Make errors. Listen to native speakers speaking. Listen to audios. Join language clubs where you have to express yourself. Debate clubs. And these are all going to give you opportunities to improve your speech. Have I answered your question?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay, if there are no more questions, I can assume that our lesson was successful. Okay. Thank you very much for participating in